So a few years ago, Ford did exactly what every headline was telling companies to do. They leaned hard into artificial intelligence, and they let a lot of their senior engineers go, the expensive ones, the veterans with gray beards and 30 years on the job, because why keep paying for all that experience when the machine can supposedly do the same work for a fraction of the cost? And here's how that went. Over the next few years, Ford became the most recalled car company in America. 51 recalls in the first half of this year alone, more than 11 million vehicles. Cars were going out the door with problems the old hands would have caught in their sleep, and there just weren't enough old hands left to catch them. So Ford did something quietly that I find fascinating. They started calling those engineers back, about 350 of them, and not to sit in a corner and babysit the AI. They brought them in to fix what it had gotten wrong, to rebuild the systems from the ground up, and to teach the younger staff everything the company had just finished forgetting. And once those veterans were back in the building, Ford shot to number 1 in J.D. Power's quality study for the year. So this isn't another video about whether AI is coming for your job. I think that question is mostly noise. This is about a far more useful one, the question every business owner is being pushed to answer right now. What can you actually hand to a machine, and what is the part you were really paying a human being for? Ford spent something like a few $1 billion learning where that line is. Let me try to save you the bill. Quick word on where I'm coming from, because it matters here. I use these tools every single day, and they're genuinely useful. I'll show you exactly where. I'm also on record that what we keep calling AI is really rebranded machine learning wrapped in some very P.T. Barnum style marketing. So I'm not a hater, but I'm not a hype man. And I'm not burying the real answer behind a paywall. It's right here because I want you to walk away with it. And Ford is not some weird outlier. This same story is playing out everywhere, just more quietly. Klarna, the big payments company, handed the work of around 700 customer service reps to an AI chatbot, watched customer satisfaction drop, and started hiring people back. The research firm Gartner now expects half of the companies that cut jobs for AI to rehire those exact same roles by 2027. Robert Half says almost a third already have. And in one survey, 55% of executives say they regret replacing workers with AI. There's a name going around for this now: boomerang hiring, the quiet walk back. And it's not only the car makers and the banks. McDonald's pulled the plug on its AI drive-thru after it kept botching orders. Starbucks took such a beating over its automated experience that the incoming chief executive named fixing it as one of his first jobs. Once you start looking, the pattern is everywhere. Now, I want to be fair to the technology because the concession matters. AI is really good at a big chunk of the work. The repetitive 70 or 80%, the first draft of the email, the boilerplate code, the meeting summary, the first pass at research, the routine reply that says the same thing for the 100th time. I lean on it for exactly that every day, and it saves me real hours. Anyone who tells you it's useless isn't paying attention. So if the machine is genuinely that good, sit with the puzzle for a second. How did Ford hand a chunk of its work to AI and end up losing billions of dollars and leading the recall charts? The answer is the whole point of this. It comes down to two stories we keep getting told, and both of them are quietly costing people money. The first is the dream. Build yourself a team of agents. Let them run the whole departments. Fire everyone. Work 1 hour a week. The second is the dread. The robots are coming. Here are the only jobs that survive. Good luck out there. One sells you a fantasy. The other sells you fear. And while you're stuck between the two, you can't see the actual decision sitting right in front of you. And there's a line about all of this that I can't get out of my head. It was the top comment on a video by a writer who just lost his job to AI, and tens of thousands of people had piled on to agree with him. He said, "I wanted AI to do my boring work so I could draw and write and create. Instead, the companies built AI to do the drawing and the writing and the creating while I still do all the boring work." Read that one twice. We got the whole promise exactly backwards. So back to Ford and the part the machine simply could not do. One of their own vice presidents admitted the mistake plainly. They believed they could feed the requirements into a system and high-quality cars would come out the other side. But the AI was trained on incomplete data, and there was no longer a veteran in the room who knew the requirement nobody had written down. The unstated rule, the weird edge case, the judgment call that says the spec is technically fine and it is still going to fail in the real world. And that's the thing the graybeards actually carried, and it's worth naming precisely. It wasn't keystrokes, it was context. 30 years of institutional memory, knowing why a rule existed, which corner could be cut and which one absolutely could not, what had already been tried and why it broke. None of that lives in a spec sheet you can hand to a model. It lives in the person. This is exactly where the tool hits its ceiling, even for you and me at our desks. When you prompt an AI cold, it'll hand you a competent first draft in seconds. That's the abundant part, and it's genuinely useful. What it can't hand you is the judgment to know whether that draft is actually right for your situation, because it doesn't have your context. It gives you the cheap input for free. It can't give you the expensive part, the knowing. So here's the mistake sitting underneath all of it. Ford and Klarna and the rest of them pointed the AI straight at the human, at the whole person-shaped hole in the org chart. And that's not what these tools are built for. They're built for bounded, well-defined tasks. The second the job needs someone to hold the entire picture in their head and make a call, you've handed the machine the one thing it cannot do. You engineer around the task, not around the silhouette of a person. Which brings me to what I actually think this technology is for. Not replacing people, augmenting them. Letting a machine grind through the monotonous, repetitive work so a human is freed up to do the creative, knowledge work that human beings are genuinely great at. That's the version that holds up. Ford didn't win by choosing AI or people. They won by putting the experienced people back in the loop with better tools in their hands. The combination beat either one on its own. And you don't have to take my word for the limits. One of the sharper voices I came across used to run a 40-person accounting firm. Someone asked him whether he'd trust an autonomous AI to handle the tax work on its own. His answer was a flat no. Let it draft, let it calculate, let it speed you up. But keep a human checking the result, because the cost of confidently wrong is just too high. That instinct is the right one. So here's the rule I'd actually write on the wall, the one Ford paid billions to learn. Hand the machine the bounded, repetitive task, the draft, the first pass, the rote work that drains your day. But keep a human on anything that needs judgment, real context, or a relationship. That's the line. And the part the AI can't do, the judgment and the context, is usually the exact part you were paying that person for in the first place. One more tell worth carrying into your own decisions. Anytime you hear a claim wrapped in language you can't really argue with, like it can't fail, this is the future, just wait and see, you're being sold something. That reassurance, it's not comfort, It's the warning sign. The same marketing move that told 1 million people the robots would take everything is the one that told executives they could let their veterans go and nothing would break. Both of those were Barnum. Because the real lesson of the Ford story isn't that AI failed. It's that AI, pointed at the wrong thing, made an expensive mess. And AI pointed at the right thing, with experienced people back in the room, helped them build some of the best cars they'd shipped in years. The technology was never really the question. Where you draw the line always was. So I'll leave you with an honest question, and I genuinely want your answer. Name one task in your business you'd hand over to an AI tomorrow without losing any sleep. And name the one you would never hand over, no matter how good the demo looks. That line for your business is the whole thing. And if you think I've got this wrong, that full replacement really is coming, and these rehirings are just a blip, hey, make a case down in the comments. I could be wrong. If this was useful, I wrote a book for founders called Founders Who Finish, along with my monthly newsletter, The Build. Both are available at davesaunders.net. And if you'd like more of these, subscribing genuinely helps a small channel like mine keep making them.